Namo Narayanaya, welcome back. We are finishing up chapter 20, Lord Vishnu's appearance in the sacrificial arena of Maharaja Prthu. We are on the last sentence of verse 22. The king, Maharaja Prthu, offered his prayers to Lord Vishnu. My dear Lord, you are the best of the demigods who can offer benedictions. Why, therefore, should any learned person ask you for benedictions meant for living entities, bewildered by the modes of nature? Such benedictions are available automatically, even in the lives of living entities suffering in hellish conditions. My dear Lord, you could certainly bestow merging into your existence, but I do not wish to have such a benediction. My dear Lord, I therefore do not wish to have the benediction of merging into your existence, a benediction in which there is no existence of the nectarian beverage of your lotus feet. I want the benediction of at least 1,000,000 ears, for thus I may be able to hear about the glories of your lotus feet from the mouths of your pure devotees. My dear Lord, you are glorified by the selected verses uttered by great personalities. Such glorification of your lotus feet is just like saffron particles. When the transcendental vibration from the mouths of great devotees carries the aroma of the saffron dust of your lotus feet, the forgetful living entity gradually remembers his eternal relationship with you. Devotees thus gradually come to the right conclusion about the value of life. My dear Lord, I therefore do not need any other benediction but the opportunity to hear from the mouth of your pure devotee. My dear, highly glorified Lord, if one, in the association of pure devotees, hears even once the glories of your activities, he does not, unless he is nothing but an animal, give up the association of devotees. For no intelligent person would be so careless as to leave their association. The perfection of chanting and hearing about your glories was accepted even by the goddess of fortune, who desired to hear of your unlimited activities and transcendental glories. Now I wish to engage in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord, and to serve just like the goddess of fortune, who carries a lotus flower in her hand, because his lordship is the reservoir of all transcendental qualities. I am afraid that the goddess of fortune and I would quarrel because both of us would be attentively engaged in the same service. My dear Lord of the universe, the goddess of fortune Lakshmi is the mother of the universe, and yet I think that she may be angry with me because of my intruding upon her service and acting on that very platform to which she is so much attached. Yet I am hopeful that even though there is some misunderstanding, you will take my part, for you are very much inclined to the poor, and you always magnify even insignificant service unto you. Therefore, even though she becomes angry, I think that there is no harm for you, because you are so self-sufficient that you can do without her. Great saintly persons who are always liberated take to your devotional service, because only by devotional service can one be relieved from the illusions of material existence. My Lord, there is no reason for the liberated souls to take shelter at your lotus feet, except that such souls are constantly thinking of your feet. My dear Lord, what you have said to your unalloyed devotee is certainly very much bewildering. The allurements you offer in the Vedas are certainly not suitable for pure devotees. People in general, bound by the sweet words of the Vedas, engage themselves again and again in fruitive activities, enamored by the results of their actions. My Lord, due to your illusory energy, all living beings in this material world have forgotten their real constitutional position, and out of ignorance they are always desirous of material happiness in the form of society and friendship and love. Therefore, please do not ask me to take some material benefits from you, but as a father, not waiting for the son's demand, does everything for the benefit of the son, please bestow upon me whatever you think best for me. The great sage Maitreya continued his narration by saying that the Lord, the Seer of the universe, after hearing Maharaja Prthu's prayer, addressed the king as such. My dear king, may you always be blessed by engaging in my devotional service. Only by such purity of purpose as you yourself very intelligently express can one cross over the insurmountable illusory energy of Maya. My dear king, O protector of the citizens, henceforward be very careful to execute my orders and not be misled by anything. Anyone who lives in that way, simply carrying out my orders faithfully, will always find good fortune all over the world. Maitreya continued his narration to Vidura. The Lord amply appreciated the meaningful prayers of Maharaja Prthu. Thus, after being properly worshipped by the king, the Lord blessed him and departed. King Prthu worshipped the demigods, the great sages, the inhabitants of Pitraloka, the inhabitants of Gandharva-loka, and those of Siddhaloka, Karnaloka, Panagaloka, Kinaraloka, Apsaraloka, the earthly planets, and the planets of the birds. He also worshipped many other living entities who presented themselves in the sacrificial arena that day. With folded hands he worshipped all these, as well as the Lord and the personal associates of the Lord, by offering sweet words and as much wealth as possible. After this function, they all went back to their respective abodes, following in the footsteps of Lord Vishnu. The infallible Supreme Personality of Godhead, having captivated the minds of the king and the priests who were present, returned to his abode in the spiritual sky. King Prthu then offered the respectful obeisances unto the Lord, and who is the Lord of all demigods. Although not an object of material vision, the Lord revealed himself to the sight of Maharaja Prthu, and after offering obeisances to the Lord, the king returned to his home. Thus ends chapter 20. And we have here a story of a very unselfish man, a man who wanted to continue to serve the Lord versus being part of the Lord. If you had that choice, what would you take? Would you want to continue to serve the Lord, or would you be a part of it? I'm going to relate this to Buddhism, because there's a very similar story in Buddhist scriptures about Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, who had a moment where he could become a Buddha, because there's thousands and thousands of Buddha. Buddha Gautama is just one of them. But he could become a Buddha, but declared that he would not. He would sacrifice this enlightenment, this unity, until everybody achieved enlightenment. So Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva keeps returning to the earth, keeps working with us, keeps appearing to achieve universal enlightenment, and only then will he take his well-deserved enlightenment. So he's sort of the greatest sacrificer, the most unselfish person in Buddhism that I'm aware of, the bit I've read of Buddhism. Here we have Maharaja Prthu showing the same thing, where he wants to give himself and worship the Lord, and by worshiping the Lord, affecting other people. That's the key. It's not just his own pleasure, but he can do things for others from that position better than he can if he joined the Lord. So, interesting role model. But again, I go back to the question, if you had the choice, what would you do? I'd love to hear your answers down below. And next time, we'll start chapter 21. Thank you as always for joining me. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.